Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating and highly structured philosophical argument laid out by the hosts of our source material, Physics to God. Their central premise is pretty wild. They explore how the extreme fine-tuning of the universe's fundamental constants, the specific numbers that literally dictate how physics works, can actually be interpreted as compelling evidence for an intelligent creator. They argue that these constants of nature are just so precisely dialed in to allow for complex life that it demands a radical shift in how we understand basic cause and effect. So let's unpack exactly how they build this case. To digest all this, we're going to follow their logical roadmap. We'll start with the mystery of fine-tuning, look at efficient versus teleological causes, check out a really helpful table analogy, scale that up to cosmic purpose, explore a fun alien vehicle thought experiment, and finally, see how this moves beyond the old God of the gaps fallacy. All right, let's jump right into part one, the mystery of fine-tuning. The source material kicks things off with a massive, mind-bending dilemma. The fundamental laws of nature rely on these highly specific numerical constants, and if these numbers were even slightly different, our complex universe simply wouldn't exist. There'd be no stars, no planets, no us. This creates a really weird paradox. Did the future cause the past? Think about it. These fine-tuned constants were set at the very dawn of the universe, yet their specific values seem completely dictated by the complex life that would emerge billions of years later. So how on earth could a future outcome determine a past starting condition? Which brings us to Section 2, Efficient and Teleological Causes. To solve this paradox, the hosts look all the way back to Aristotle, who introduced two distinct ways to explain reality. The first is what modern science relies on all the time, the efficient cause. This is just the mechanical agent or force that brings something into existence. If you push a domino, your finger is the efficient cause. But here's the catch. An efficient cause always has to precede its effect in time. Because of that, it totally fails to solve our fine-tuning paradox. A future consequence just can't act as a mechanical, efficient cause for a law of physics in the past. But Aristotle offered a second framework, and this is the teleological cause. This one is all about a thing's purpose, its end goal. A teleological explanation doesn't care at all about the mechanical force that built an object. It focuses entirely on why it was built in the first place. Let's move on to Section 3, the table analogy. To make these abstract philosophical concepts super concrete, the hosts offer this brilliant, simple analogy, a carpenter building a table. When you look at a table, its efficient cause is the carpenter, right? The actual agent who built it. But its teleological cause is its purpose, providing a flat surface for people to eat their dinner on. So the efficient cause explains what made it, while the teleological cause explains why. Now, the absolutely crucial thing here is how these two causes relate to time. The carpenter, the efficient cause, obviously exists before the table. But the purpose, having a good surface to eat on tomorrow, is exactly what dictates the table's specific design today. The future goal of using the table literally forces the carpenter in the present to cut the wood to equal lengths and make the top perfectly flat. So, the future purpose actually solves the mystery of the present design. All right, Section 4, Cosmic Purpose and Intelligence. So, the hosts take this exact logic from the table analogy and scale it all the way up to the entire cosmos. Just as the future goal of eating dictates the specific lengths of the table's legs, the objective of producing a complex, ordered universe dictates the exact values of the physical constants. The ordered universe itself is the teleological cause. And just like that, our paradox is resolved. The future didn't magically reach back in time mechanically. Rather, the future purpose informed the initial setup. But, a purpose can't just execute itself out of thin air. The hosts lay out 3 logical steps to show how this points to an intelligent creator. Step 1. A teleological purpose requires a prior efficient cause, an agent, to actually do the building. Step 2. To achieve a really complex purpose, that agent has to make incredibly precise selections. And step 3, by definition, actually stemming right from its Latin roots, meaning to discern or pick out, selecting one specific functional possibility out of a massive sea of useless possibilities is the very definition of an intelligent cause. Let's look at a specific number to ground this, 137.035. That's roughly the fine structure constant, which dictates the strength of electromagnetic interaction. The source argues that an intelligent agent doesn't need some sort of unintelligent master mathematical law to explain every single decimal point here. Think of it like a human tuning a radio dial. An intelligent agent only needs to select a value within a narrow, functional range, say somewhere between 136 and 138, to accomplish its goal of making a complex universe. The ultra-precise decimal is way less important than the fact that it falls squarely within that narrow window of purpose.
Okay, Section 5, the alien vehicle.
Now, obviously, this raises a pretty major skeptical question. Can we logically infer a creator if we don't have any prior evidence that one even exists outside our universe? To tackle this, the source asks us to imagine astronauts exploring a barren, faraway planet. If they stumbled upon a simple, vague, table-like rock, they'd probably just assume it formed by chance, wind, erosion, whatever. But if they found a highly complex, fine-tuned vehicle perfectly suited for navigating that specific terrain, literally no one would say that was chance. Finding the vehicle itself completely justifies positing the existence of previously unknown intelligent alien life. So, applying this back to our universe, the hosts emphasize that the physical constants are infinitely more complex and finely tuned than any vehicle we could ever build. The odds of getting all these constants perfectly right by pure chance are staggeringly microscopic, so small in fact that no serious scientist accepts chance as a valid answer. Therefore, just like finding that alien rover, the extreme fine-tuning of the constants itself is all the evidence logically required to posit a previously unknown intelligent cosmic cause.
Which leads us to our final section, number 6, Beyond God of the Gaps.
The hosts are really rigorous about defending their conclusion against a super common critique, the God of the Gaps fallacy. That's the idea that people just use God to lazily plug holes in our scientific ignorance. But the source argues their stance is fundamentally different. A God of the Gaps argument relies on ignorance, like saying, well, we don't know how lightning works yet, so God must be doing it. But the fine-tuning argument is based on knowledge. It only emerged after science successfully mapped out the foundational laws of physics. They aren't plugging a temporary gap in our understanding. They are addressing the foundational, structural reality of the universe itself. They make this absolutely crucial distinction. An intelligent agent doesn't explain just any random universe we might have observed. It specifically explains a fine-tuned and ordered one. If we pointed our telescopes at the sky and saw nothing but complete, nonsensical, random chaos, inferring a designer would make absolutely zero sense. It is precisely our scientific discovery of this deep order that justifies the inference of intelligence.
So, to wrap up this explainer, the source leaves us with a really provocative question to chew on. If the foundational numbers of physics point toward an intelligent, teleological purpose, well, what does that mean for the incredibly intricate biological design of life itself? How does all of this square with Darwinian evolution? That is exactly where the hosts of Physics to God head next, and it definitely leaves us with a lot to think about. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the universe.